Well, hello and welcome to another segment of Woman to Woman. This is Lady Christine Foster, and I'm so glad to be in your homes today by way of the Power of God Broadcasting TV network. As a pitch, if you have not already done so, we ask that you become a friend of Woman to Woman. Our Facebook page is open to ladies, and we ask you to write us and ask to become a friend if you have not already done so. We also ask that if you have Roku TV or a smart TV with Roku on it, to add Power of God Broadcasting TV network to your list of channels. For you can see us on TV. We are on TV, YouTube, and as a courtesy, Facebook. We also have our website, which is pogbn.com.net and .org, where you can also watch us at any time, 24 hours a day. We are on TV, along with all of the other ministries and businesses that are joining us. So we thank you for being with us today. And we're so excited and also apprehensive about what we are going to talk to you about today, Woman to Woman. When we started this ministry, it was to give a platform for women to share their stories and to share the things that they've been through, as well as what God has done and how they've turned tragedy into triumph, how they have overcome the many things that we as women do go through in life and have endured. I have always been told by my mother that sometimes when we're going through, a lot of times we feel alone. We feel like it's just us. But if we think about it, we have a lot to be grateful for. But there's always someone else that's worse off than we are. So today, we want to share with you and candidly be open about some things that have that we have had to overcome in our own lives. And a lot of times when we're coming to talk about ourselves, it's kind of hard. You don't really know if what you're going to say, people will be able to handle it or how they're going to take it. But I am learning, and I'm learning through other women that have come on and shared their stories and other things that I've watched and broadcasts and other YouTube videos that I have seen of other powerful women of God, men of God, those that have shared their stories and how they have come past, what they've had to endure is what really helps us to identify with one another. Because if the truth be told, we all have a story. And there's always something similar in our stories that another person has already endured. So today, we're going to be talking about the greatest love of all. I don't know one person in the world who is not looking for love, wanting to be loved and looking and searching and hoping to find, or that someone will find them and be the right partner for them. But I am learning throughout my trial and error, and also in knowledge of learning myself, that the greatest love of all is when you learn to love yourself. As I was growing up as a child, there were so many things that has happened, to me individually. I didn't really have high self-esteem. Not always because that my parents or my mother or anyone did not try to instill that in me, but because of things that were done by outsiders. It's so important that we be careful how we treat one another and what we say to one another, and that we don't make differences between one another, especially when it comes to where it starts at first is with our children. I don't believe all the time that those of us that have been raised or have come in the presence of other children have done this sometimes willingly. And then there are some people who willingly do things to try to hurt another person. And that's sad. That is sad. But there were things that I endured as a child, Society tells us what love is, what beauty is, that if you're fairer skinned, if your eyes are green, if you have long hair, if you're slim, if you're, built a certain way. I mean, there's all kinds of things that society tells us is beauty. So growing up, when we first start out, we're thinking that everything that's spoken to us on the outside is what's determining our beauty. And a lot of times we use that as our measuring stick. And so for me, when I was growing up, there was always a difference that was tried to be made between my sister and I, and I've always been thankful that no matter what people tried to do or what the enemy in the end really tried to do, my sister and I were always close. We always stuck together, and the enemy would try to cause a wedge between us for different things, because of things that people would say, whereas now growing up later, you have people that will say, gosh, you guys look just alike. We might be different shades. There may be differences about us, but they always used to make that difference, and that's what started the whole situation. My mother always was a seamstress. She took care at making sure that we always looked good. Our clothes were nice. She made everything to fit us so cute and did our hair the same and all that. But people would always try to make a difference between one or the other. They would say, one thing about her and say something else about me, and we both look the same. And that really helped to start off my the way I saw myself. I didn't feel as though I was as pretty as the next girl, because of the way I was treated. I was treated, and now, I see things differently, but then it was very impressionable upon me, and it made a difference in the way that my life has gone. Because at first, all that negativity I took in and believed that was being said, when I saw myself, I didn't see Chrissy. I didn't see Lady Foster the way that she really was. And at that time, it was Chrissy. I didn't see her. I didn't see the little girl with the beauty that God made in her. What I saw was totally different. What I saw made me to retreat. It made me go back into a box, or shrink down and not feel like I was worthy or as, attractive as someone else, because of what society said, because of what people who supposedly said they loved us would say or do. It made me feel a certain way. And I know I'm not by myself. I know that there are many of you that have gone through different things. Now, it might sound stupid to you, but let's be real that, the things that we grow up with at times take us a long time to shake. And I'm in my 50s now, and there's been a lot of things, that being one, but a lot of things and thoughts and words that were said and spoken over my life that helped to frame the way I thought about myself. Some from friends, some from family, making the differences at times between, or treating one person differently than the other, and why. The reason is not always known, but I have learned in the end that all things work together for the good. So I've learned that, that path that I have taken, the times that I felt not worthy, the times that I have felt that didn't have the gifts or the ability to do certain things, when they're always there. But if we don't see what's in us, no matter how many people tell us, we will still continue to walk around in a circle until we actually can see ourselves and begin to love ourselves the way God wants us to. And I'm so thankful because I am learning after going through a rough path, of being in high school, in elementary school, middle school, where I just, oh my God, I just felt like a sore thumb. I was in there and I just didn't feel, I'm going through school. I see everybody. I just didn't feel that I measured up. I just didn't feel that I was, as equal with everybody else. And it's taken God a long time of working with Chrissy, a long time of working with Chrissy. And so I'm sharing this because a lot of times we look at people where they are now, and I am not by any means at achieved level, but I am so grateful for where God has brought me and what he has done to change my life. I just, it has taken time. It has taken me going through jobs and learning and how to talk and to speak, freely to others. That, when I started my first job my first job was at McDonald's, and I was a good worker, but I was very insecure. So I didn't know how to talk to people. And, I wasn't able to really interact with those that, might've been in front of me. And this is breaking for me. So, but it took me working that job. It really took me working that job and the managers that made me come out of my shell, that made me have to talk, that I had to start talking to the people that were in front of me. And after doing that and learning how to come out of that little hole, that little shell, that little darkness that Chrissy was hiding in, it helped me to begin to see me a little more clearly, little by little. Didn't happen all overnight. You have years and years and years of wrong thinking, years and years of, things that have been done to hurt you, that have made you retreat. It takes time to break out of that. But that was one area in which God started to use to bring me out. And a lot of times, there's a song that says, the reason why I sing. One of the reasons that I sing and I began to write music was to what God gave me, that ability and that way to express myself. My songs expressed my heart, where I was at a time in life. And a lot of times those songs are what God used to bring Chrissy out. That began to give me an identity. A lot of times we are so engrossed in trying to measure up to what society says we should be, to what society says is beauty, and to what society says is acceptable, that we don't evolve and become who we are supposed to be. We really don't even know who we are supposed to be, because in our early years, we're trying to be what everybody else says. But I have, in those years, as God has been breaking down the walls in my life around Chrissy, so that Chrissy could come out from behind the wall, even doing what I'm doing today, these broadcasts, and being at this platform in which God has opened the door now. People may think, whatever, they may see it in a different way, but I never would have thought that this was something that I would do. You're looking at an individual who would not talk, who was very shy, very introverted, that just might have had a lot in me, might have had a lot of thoughts in me, but it coming out, I didn't see. But those that knew me as a child, that have seen me grow up, I'm thankful for those that were encouragement to me throughout those years, and thankful for those who are not, because God has taken all of those things to make this beautiful girl and woman that you see today. And I can say I am beautiful. It took me a long time to get there, because I used a different rule sick. I used a different code book to decide who I was, to decide whether I was beautiful or not, to really learn to love me. Sometimes we're trying to fit in and be who everybody else says we should be. And we can't really even give love to anybody else until we learn to love ourselves. So the greatest love of all that Lady Foster, Chrissy, the little girl, has learned and is learning is to love myself. The way we see ourselves makes the total difference in what other people see. And so I am learning that. I am learning that, thanks be to God, who gives us the victory to overcome, who puts people in our lives to overcome and help us to overcome, who speak things into our life, who share with us and who encourage us. And I'm hoping that my sharing some of my story, I have a whole lot. I'm sure you all got a whole lot in your artillery belt that has helped you to become who you are. Our storms, our struggles, our low points, as well as our good points help us to evolve into who we are. I'm hoping that this is going to help you to see that what you see today was not always. It was not always this way. Chrissy was not always who you see today. Lady Foster was not always the one who could do what she's doing today. But because of God, he has helped to chip away little by little the words and those walls and all those words that were spoken against me or spoken to me that allowed me to put up those walls, to help me to see and be able to lift my head above it enough to see beauty. I was sharing with my husband not too long ago. We were watching something on TV, and I began to tell him at a certain point, I said, Boo, I told him, as I always tell you all, I say, Boo, I am learning that I am beautiful just as I am. That each and every one of us are beautiful the way we are. We're so busy trying to be or accepting the words of others that tells us we're not something because we are not like this or we're not like that, that we cannot see what's really in front of us. I'm learning who I am. I am learning whose I am. And that I have been fearfully and wonderfully made, that God took his time when he designed Chrissy. He took his time when he designed every aspect of me. There are things about ourselves that is special and unique that sometimes we don't see as special and unique as they are. We think that it's just normal when it's not. There are things about me that I am learning that God made differently for a reason. And as I'm learning to embrace Chrissy and hold her and love her and enjoy her quirkiness, her uniqueness, and, stop trying to fit in when God meant for me to stand out. Sometimes we are trying to fit in or to become a part of a crowd that we were never meant to be a part of because we were meant to stand out. And so I understand why, at times I was not necessarily welcomed into everything. I understand why sometimes doors may not be open in certain areas because God has let me know that I have you. I didn't mean for you to be a part of that or this. I meant for you to be a part of this. I meant for you to stand out. And so we have to learn what our purpose is for this being on this earth. I know that and I believe many of you have had that fight and that thought in your mind, like, God, why am I here? What is my purpose? Lord, help me to achieve my purpose. For life is short. And I want to make sure that I'm as effective as I can be in my life, through my life, and what I share with others. Opening up, a little bit more. Because, when you've been hurt, as many of us have, but I'm just talking about me, when you have been hurt by people, or misunderstood sometimes by others, you tend to refrain from letting people in, but so far. But I am learning and have learned that even though I may protect myself, that I'm also keeping myself from being loved. So I am learning to use that wisdom that God has taught me from the time that I have been hurt, and to be able to rightly discern what's in front of me, the intentions of others, but also still love. We go through things. We've been hurt. We've been disappointed. We've been misunderstood, but we still have so much more to give and so much more that God wants to do through us. So I am at that point where I'm not allowing those things anymore to keep me in a bondage. I'm not allowing the fact that I have been hurt to keep me from being loved. So many of us, have not been able to be loved because we've been hurt. And so we refuse to be hurt again. And because of that, we just don't open up enough for somebody to touch our heart. First person you have to open up to is God. And he is the one that I came to first. And I began to let him, like I said, break the walls down and begin to show me and to begin to show me who I am to him. And I'm thankful for my husband that God has given me as well, because it has taken his love and his understanding and his speaking into my life to encourage me and let me know who I am, even more, as God allowed him to come into my life, and his love for me and his speaking into my life has encouraged me. And my mom, I thank God for her, and my sister, all of those that I won't be able to name by name, because if I did, it would take me a long time. There's many, 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 many people who have encouraged me in one way or another, either by what they said that I heard or what they've said to me specifically. I just thank God for each and every one of you, because in one way or another, God has used your influence to change my life and to bring Chrissy, Lady Foster, to where she is today. Most of all, I give honor to God, because without him, I am nothing. Learning to love myself is the greatest love of all. Out of all the loves, those that I wanted, thought I had, thought I needed, the greatest love of all, first being Jesus, his shedding his blood for me, and then helping me to see why he did it for Chrissy, because she was special to him, because she belonged to him, and helping me to love me. I'm telling you, when you learn to love yourself, you will begin to receive so many blessings. You begin to have so much joy. I have more joy in my heart now than I have ever had before, because now I'm not basing how I feel on how others feel about me, or I'm not walking into a crowded room and feeling alone. It's nothing like being in a crowded room and still feeling alone, because I'm learning and I know more, not at all, but God is showing me more who I am. And I'm learning to love myself. As Whitney Houston said, is the greatest love of all. I am learning to love Chrissy for who she is, her uniqueness, her difference. God did not make all of us to be the same. He didn't make us all to be skinny. He didn't make us all to be fat. He didn't make us all to be shapely. He didn't make us all the same shades. He did not give us all the same hair, or the same eyes. None of those things really matter. That's not where real beauty is. Beauty is within. And yes, we dress up the outside because we all like to look nice. But the word tells us not to make that our most important part, not to allow our beauty to be based on the braiding of our hair and the gold and the jewelry and all of that, because all of those things change, over time. They all change. But what is real beauty comes from the inside of our hearts. What's in us is what shines out. What's in us, what we allow to be birthed and come forth, is what draws people to you. And I am learning that most of all, what draws, and I want to draw, is the Spirit of God, his love, his joy, his peace in my life. I am so thankful for knowing him and the change that he's made in my life. I'm hoping that some of what I'm sharing today, and it's not a lot, and it's definitely not all, because I have plenty to say. But being able to share with you that Lady Foster does not always have it all together, that I have moments when I want to go back in a corner and retreat. That I have moments when I don't feel 100%. But I have chosen to rise above it. I have chosen to rise above my feelings of inadequacy at times. Many times, I still do things, many things that I do, and I don't always feel that I am quite where I need to be, that I had it together to do it. But I'm not going to allow it to stop me anymore. There's so much greatness in me, and there's so much greatness in you, unless you fight. We love ourselves the way that God loves us. And as we love ourselves, we begin to know how to share the love that's within us with others. So I encourage you today to begin to love yourself. Realize that the greatest love of all that you could ever give is to love yourself. I love me. I'm beautiful. God loves me. And I know that there's greatness in me that will be seen. So much that I'm going to accomplish. So much that you're going to accomplish. Fight for yourself. Love yourself. For that is the greatest love of all. Be encouraged and God.